Okay, so we're going to transfer the draping that we did after we made all the corrections into paper. We are not going to do half a pattern, especially for the bust cups, because the batting is so thick. If you cut it on the fold, it's going to be not the right side of the pattern. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to fold my paper on my grain line. Okay, and I'm going to place the muslin. I don't know if anybody is the videographer that needs to be enlarging what I'm doing, but I'm actually placing it where I see a hair of the paper. What is the reason for that? It's a little thing that I do, but the reason for that is because the actual thickness of the paper folded is accounted for. Okay, that's how precise I want this to be. So I'm not going to put a lot of pins. I just want to make sure that this lays flat. And I'm going to get the tracing wheel, and I'm going to transfer the pattern here. Okay, I'm doing it only on the seam, making sure that I do the corrections. Okay, I'm going to do the notches just to have them, but I am not going to be cutting on the fabric. It actually helps me when I'm walking my pattern, right? But I really do not need notches because we're not going to add seam allowance to this. Okay? So now that I did that, now I'm going to get the ruler. I know that I want to have a 90-degree from that center front line, just a little bit. Here is the V-neck, so I do not need that 90-degree, right? Can you see the details? Does the dots show? Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. So here is, and the trick for these rulers, I know that some of you kind of struggle with this ruler, is don't think about anything, too strict about it. Keep turning it until you find the right angle. And sometimes you're not going to find it all one single line. So you can break it up into pieces and you keep flipping your ruler until you get the clean line that you want to have. See, like for example, here it goes back in, right? And I'm going to do the notches just for my reference. Now, this is something that you guys tend to do. You're too excited, you finished it, you go ahead and cut it. I'm not doing that. I'm actually going to leave the paper because I did walk it on the fabric and I walked it again when I pinned it, right? But I really don't know if it actually is going to happen on paper. So if I cut my paper and then I need more paper, I have to do it all over again. But if I leave paper extra, I'm going to have room to add or subtract if I need to. Now I'm going to do the side. So remember how we did a grain line before we started draping? We're doing the same thing with the paper. I'm drawing a grain line. So now that I draw a grain line, I'm going to pin it on my grain line of the fabric on that grain line that I did on the paper, right? Right, we're listening. I'm just checking if you guys are alive. Okay, so again, I'm gonna use the tracing wheel. Notice that I'm pinning only on the corners. I'm not putting a lot of pins on it. I don't want it to pucker or do anything to my paper. I want it to be as flat as possible. So, listen guys, if this doesn't work out, at least using this tool, you know how to cut pizza. That was mean. That was mean.
You're saying we might own a pizzeria, right?
That would be great.
Owner of a pizzeria?
Do I get a discount?
Depends on your comments.
Oh, okay. Probably not.
Hey, I didn't say anything. You said
I said it.
I didn't say anything.
I said
I
it.
know, and it's on camera.
I said it. I know that I'm not always that gentle,
No,
but you can't complain. What you see is what you get. Okay, so now that I did that, now I'm going to clean it up. And again, I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to walk it again to make sure that it fits. I'm going to walk it and I'm going to true it. Right? Right? Okay, thank you. Right? So if you really start counting, we have walked and trued these pattern pieces about 4 times. Okay? And that's exactly what you need to do. What happened here? This one looks very straight. Yep. Probably the only straight line that I have in here. Okay, so notches here, here, and here. So now I'm going to walk it. Okay, so can you see that in there?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so if you look at this, I see that it kind of goes in and out. So I'll be able to blend it in. That would be the truing aspect of it. So it's adding a little bit there, but I need to transfer that correction to the paper underneath. Now I go into the next notch, right? The notch is actually here. So I'm going to pivot because I'm walking. Delish. You're famous, you're on video.
Oh my god.
Don't change my name. Okay, so if you see, I actually walked it and the line measures exactly the same, but it doesn't blend in nicely, correct? So I'm going to now true it so it blending nicely. So I get the ruler upside down like this, okay? And I'm going to transfer that correction to the paper underneath. So now I need to make the correction here. So my pattern is walked and trued, okay? By the way, don't think that this pattern will not be included with your cutter's must and your final pattern for the bustier, okay? So don't forget it because you're still going to need to add it. Now, since this is made out of batting, what color do you think would be the pen that we're going to be using for this? Is it a self?
Blue?
Blue, exactly. It's a combo, right? It's a different fabric. And keep in mind, this goes on the inside. You're not going to see it on the outside of the bustier. This is the under construction. But keep in mind those things because you're going to have to do a combo for the batting. And on that, you're going to have your center. In my case, I don't know, you might have different pieces. For example, Eva, did I say it right? Okay. She always complains that I don't, right? You're going to have an upper bust cup and you're not bottom bust cup because you have your seam horizontal rather than a princess seam like this one that would do a center front and a center back. Exactly. Right? So it all depends on your design and what you're doing. So here this line is not, right? And this line is not. And then I'm gonna cut it. Okay, so what am I missing here? Notches? No, because I'm not gonna cut them, but they're already there. Just leave them happy. I'm gonna do grain line. I'm gonna give it a style number, right? How would we call it? OBB1. I forgot what I called it. Obscenely beautiful bustier number 1. No, it's OBB1, right? So this is the side front bust cup,
Forget tomorrow already what he needs.
size 8, and you're gonna put your name. And we're gonna write with blue, right? We're gonna cut to batting, right?
Back to back.
Cut to batting. So for this one, I'm gonna do the grain line. Remember, this has no seam allowance, okay? So is obscenely beautiful bustier 1, center front, bust cup, size 8, your name, and we're gonna do in blue, cut 1, batting. Okay? Any questions on this? So before we start, let me explain about the batting. What we're going to do is, and I'm gonna give you, where's my bag with the batting? Here. I have some pre-cut. So I'm gonna check if this is enough for what I'm doing, right? So I need to cut one of these, and I need to cut 2 of these. So I can get one here and probably one somewhere here. Okay? We're good? All right, so I will be giving you this, sort of the amount of material. So when I start the video, let me set up the sewing machine, and I'm going to show